So to access Google Classroom, if you open up a new tab in Chrome, you can click the Apps Launcher, which is this little nine dots, like the 3x3 tic-tac-toe board square. And then the classroom icon is going to be this like green chalkboard with the yellow outline. And that will take you to Google Classroom. Now, when you first come to the main homepage of Google Classroom, and I apologize that it's loading slowly here. You will see tiles for any class that you are already enrolled in. So if you've been enrolled in any class, either as a teacher or as a student, you would see tiles for that class, and you could click on any of those tiles. Now, if a teacher has invited you to join their class, so a new class, you would see a tile here like this first one that says sample, and then there would be a button to join that class. So this is what you and the students would do to join a class. Again, whether you were invited to, co-teach a class or to be a student in a class, you would click that join button, and then you would be enrolled in that class. Once you select one of them, is there a question? If you don't have a question, we just ask that you keep your mics muted to cut back on some of the feedback. Once you've clicked on one of the classes and you're taken into that class, you can switch between classes. Up here in the upper left corner, there's 3 lines next to the name of the class. And if I click on those 3 lines, it would give me a list of all of the classes that I'm in. So whether, again, I'm enrolled as a student or as a teacher, I can click on one of these classes to switch to that class. So this is how if students, especially at the secondary level, might have multiple classes that they're in, that they could switch between those classes. They can also click this classes, which is like kind of the home button, and that would take them back to that main tile screen. Once they're in a class, if you're in a class as a student, you'll see 3 tabs at the top. You'll see Stream, Classwork, and People. So Stream is just kind of a running record of everything that gets posted or added. Typically, we don't recommend that teachers really use this or add things because there's not really a way to organize it. It just, newest stuff just kind of appears at the top. The one thing that is nice on the Stream page for students is this little upcoming, and that's going to display any assignments that have a due date within the next week. So this student here has some upcoming assignments that are due on Thursday, and they could click on the name of the assignment and be taken directly to that assignment and get the details for that assignment. And I'll go over assignments a little more coming up here. But so this is just kind of a upcoming quick overview of what might be due in the next few days. The other thing that might appear on the stream under the name of the class is this Google Meet link. A lot of the teachers are using this to have their live sessions. So if the teachers you're working with are having their Google Meets through the classroom page, this is what they're referring to is that Meet link. And I know Julia will be kind of going over that again tomorrow in the Google Meet Chromebook session. So next to the stream, the Classwork tab is really where we encourage teachers and students to spend their time. I can try zooming in a little bit here. If you want to see my screen bigger within the Google Meet, you could hover over my presentation and press the push pin too, and that would pin my presentation to make it a little bigger within your window as well. So on the classwork, teachers can post any material or assignments. So there's different topics that they can use to organize the work. So depending on the teacher, they're going to have it organized differently. Some teachers have it organized by day, some have it organized by week. In my example here, I have it organized just more by subject area. Again, it depends on the grade level, how they're using the classroom. So right now I'm viewing all of the topics, but if I only wanted to look at work on for language arts, I could just click on language arts here, and it would only show me material or assignments that I have for language arts, and it would kind of expand that list a little bit more. So I could just look at those. Again, this would be helpful if they're organizing it by day, you could just click on, the one day that you need to view at the time.
How would you add additional subjects?
That would be done on the teacher side. Right now I'm looking at the student side, so the students can't add. I can show you that when I'm done with this. I can show you briefly the teacher side. So when you're looking at work, you'll notice that there's a couple different symbols here, and they're kind of different colors. So anything that has this like little clipboard looking icon, that's an assignment. And if it's the darker color, this is an assignment that I have not turned in yet as a student. So if you're working with your students and they have any of these that are the darker color, they have not submitted that assignment to their teacher yet. These lighter color ones here, they've already submitted to the teacher. So like this assignment is already submitted. These questions have already been answered. Another quick way to help your students find and kind of manage their work is this View Your Work tab up here at the top of the classwork. And if I click that View Your Work, it's going to give me a list of all of the assignments. So again, I can kind of filter this. So right now I'm in all, so that's everything, and it'll tell me if it's been assigned and I haven't done it. If it's past the due date and I haven't turned it in, it'll say missing. If my teacher has already given me a grade, I would see the grade there. Here it says turned in, so I've turned it in. The teacher just hasn't assessed it yet or returned it to me. But again, I can filter that out. I can look at just things that are assigned. So these are, again, things that I have not completed as a student yet. Returned, this would be things that I've turned in and my teachers returned to me. And missing, again, is things that are past the due date and I haven't completed yet. So that's an area that you can direct your students to help them figure out what they still need to do. When they're working on an assignment, so if here's an assignment that I need to complete by Thursday, sometimes the teacher will attach a template already for them. Usually this is like a Google slide or a Google Doc that they want them to work on. So if I click on the name of the assignment, it kind of expands. I can click on View Assignment here, and I could see any directions that the teacher has left for this particular assignment. In this case, the teacher has made copies for each of the students, so the student has their own copy with their name on it. All they need to do is they just need to click that file, and then it's going to open up the Google, again, Doc, slide, could even be a Jamboard file, whatever the teacher is attached. And then they can just go ahead and start working on it in that Google file. So they have edit access, they can write on it, and the teacher can view this as they're working on it too. So they start filling it out. And then when they're all ready, when they're all done with the assignment, if they come back to this tab that has the Google Classroom, and then there's this turn in button. So they would click the turn in button when they're ready to submit it to their teacher. So it'll ask them, are you ready to submit your work? Yes, you can click in the turn in. Now what happens is when they turn that in to the teacher, they no longer have edit access to the document until the teacher returns it to them or they unsubmit it. So once they click turn in, they can't edit that document anymore. If the teacher doesn't give them a template, they can also add things from their Google Drive as well. So if I was working on my research paper assignment, now I already have a document here, but I could click this add or create button and I could create a new file, or if I had a file that already was started, I could just grab that from my Google Drive and insert that, whether, again, that be a Google file or a video, an image that they have uploaded to their Google Drive. They can also insert things from their Chromebook. So if they took a picture on their Chromebook, they could click this file option, and if it was saved on their Chromebook, they could attach it from there. Or a link if they had a URL link too. So they can attach any of those. So sometimes the teacher might ask them to complete work on paper, take a picture of it with their Chromebook, and then they can, again, add that file to their classroom and then turn in that assignment. So that's kind of just the overview of how you navigate the Google Classroom. This last tab is the people, and that just kind of lists the teachers and then any other students that are in the classroom. The teacher view, so if you're in as a teacher, the teacher view looks pretty much identical to what the students see. So I'm going to pull up my class here as a teacher just so you can see that. So again, I have the same tiles, whether I'm a student or I'm a teacher. When I go in to my class, the only difference here is that as a teacher, I have this grades tab on the end, in addition to the stream, classwork, and people. When I go to the classwork tab as a teacher, this is where I have the option to add material. So there's a create button up here. Instead of that view your work button, which I showed you as a student, the teacher has a create, and this is how they would add, the assignments, material. So if they were giving them a link or just a document to read. And then the question was, how do you add other topics here, or subjects? So this is where the teacher could add additional topics. So if I wanted to add a social studies topic, now you see that social studies topic has been added to the bottom. These can just all be reordered by just kind of clicking and dragging to reorder here. So I'm going to pause there for questions. I don't think I saw any more come through the chat, but feel free to unmute yourself if you have an additional question or use the chat. Hey, welcome. Yeah, so, I mean, that's again, pretty much the basic review of Google Classroom. So, you're welcome to stay on if you have, some additional questions. But thank you again for joining this morning. We do have several other trainings going on this week that you are welcome to join. We have another one, I believe, on Seesaw this afternoon, which is a platform that's used mainly at the kindergarten through second grade level. I saw a question, how many different ways can a student join a Meet session from Google Classroom? So the main way, if the teacher is using Google Classroom, most of the time they are going to just be using this Meet link that's right up here in the class stream page, and that the students are going to be clicking on. Now, again, as Sarah mentioned yesterday, and Julia will cover again tomorrow, this is considered a nickname meet or nicknamed meeting, basically. So it's very important that other staff, EAs, co-teachers, anybody else that would be a staff member in the district, you do not click this link until after the meeting has started for a minute because of some issues we've been seeing with different host controls. Because once you click that link, it starts the live session. So as far as students getting in correctly, a lot of times what's happening is a staff member is clicking this link early, and then that's allowing the students to get in, before the teacher, basically.